Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or are you just happy to see me?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Normally, I would be on camera, but I had a very long day of pre-Thanksgiving cleaning. I just finished cleaning and grabbing something to eat not too long ago. So I didn't feel like doing myself up, honestly. But we're gonna talk the sequel to 2009's Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law, Sherlock Holmes: Game of Shadows. From 2011. It's about a couple of years after the first film. And while I enjoyed the second movie, I don't think it did, if I remember correctly, it didn't do too well at the box office. As they
I can look that up, Joe.
I'm not saying like it bombed or anything like that, but I think in comparison to the first one, I don't think it did too well. Would have liked to have seen the third one. I would have liked to have seen where Guy Ritchie would have taken the third one, especially given the ending of this one. But we never got it. So.
All right. So the first one was it grossed 524 million worldwide.
You turned robotic. You're robotic a little bit on my end.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So 524 million worldwide, and the other one was 543.8 million worldwide, or this one was.
Okay.
So it actually surpassed the first one.
It surpassed the first one, but I could remember. I could swear I remember reading somewhere that I didn't see Mike Hill say they're planning to make a third one, but that they nixed plans to make a third one around the time that the second one came out or close to it. And now I think it's but I don't want them to make a third one now. Not for politics reasons or anything like that. Just because it's been 13 years and counting since the second one released. Robert Downey Jr. He's lost so much weight because he became a vegan that it would not be believable.
Yeah.
In terms of his fighting abilities. So.
Here's the creative differences, scheduling conflicts between the actors, particularly Robert Downey Jr., concerns about the potential box office return, and ongoing development issues with the script, despite there being active discussions and attempts to bring it to fruition.
Yeah,
they basically
so I was right.
Come up with a story.
So. Yeah, so I knew I knew I'd read somewhere that kind of like a third one was semi thought of and planned, but it just never materialized.
I mean, honestly though, how would you surpass this one?
That's the thing. I don't know how you would necessarily surpass this one, especially since they introduce Holmes' arch nemesis.
Yeah, I mean, it's they semi-introduced him in the first, and then.
Well, they semi-introduced him in the first, but now he's the villain in this one, and he's the arch nemesis. So if they'd been planning for it to be 3 movies all along, I would have saved Moriarty for the third one.
Yeah, because it's let him live to fight another day. But the problem was they went to without spoiling it, a very fateful location.
Yeah, you turned robotic again in a little bit. I don't know if it's on my end or what, or if it's what's going on with your mic.
1 second. Let me see what's going on here.
I'm going to say hello to the chat. From the top, I see Trey says enjoyed this one. Might like him more than the first. I will agree with that because Jared Harris is phenomenal as Moriarty. He is basically like I said last week, to kind of compare to another 2 characters in another IP. He's Bane to Sherlock Holmes's Batman. They are intellectual equals. So
I'm gonna dip out for a second and come back in, see if that helps.
Okay. So yes, I dual stream on Kick and Twitch. This is my Kick. So thank you, Trey. Gravy D, sub Professor Mariarty Orange Holmes and chats, yes. No worries, Gravy. We're not going to go into too many details because, like, it's, for those who have not seen the movie or don't remember it, I don't want to give anything too much away because that's the beauty of watching a mystery, especially a Sherlock Holmes one, and that is like seeing how he figures out the solution. So, I think there he is. Okay.
How's this?
Okay, that's better. We'll see if anything happens.
Okie dokie.
Conroy, hello. I see Orange Chat in the chat as well.
Yeah,
Mike Hill, they're planning to make a third one. At the same time, it's like I'd rather them not at this point. I
mean, they left it open, obviously, with that ending that we have in this one, but the question is, does it really need a third film?
I don't think it needs a third. I don't think it needs a third film, in my opinion. And then plus, like I said, 13 years and counting since the sequel.
Yeah.
I think Robert Downey Jr. has turned off some people, quite a few people, given his turn to the dark side.
Yeah.
Recently. So I'd rather there not be a third one, but we'll see.
I mean,
because it's Hollywood, so.
For many actors, I can actually separate art from artist. Robert Downey Jr. is one of them in this case because I still do enjoy his films. However, there are some I can't. But
I'm not saying I won't
case,
watch it because of him. I'm just saying, like, he has turned off some people, I think.
Oh yeah, he is definitely.
So.
Or his recent endeavors, the Avengers endorsing a president and whatnot. Is like, come on, kids.
Yeah. No.
Now, I mean, look how it turned out. Now you guys look like idiots, and you've pissed off literally most of our country. So
yes. Yeah. So, Soul Assassin, what is up? Good to see you.
Always a pleasure, Soul.
Yeah, I'm saying if they had if they had originally planned for 3, which tells me that they didn't basically originally plan for 3, I would have saved Moriarty for the third one. Yeah, he is the pinnacle. He is, when I say like Holmes' arch nemesis, I mean literally arch nemesis. He is the intellectual equal and to Holmes, to the point where like Holmes is like almost, how do I put this? Like he both dislikes the man, but at the same time respects him because of how intelligent Moriarty is. Like Moriarty is incredibly intelligent, like in the Sherlock Holmes stories. And it would have been a very interesting third movie because you would have had like a literal battle of wits in the storyline between the two.
I mean, this one takes place in 1891, I do believe. Yes.
Yeah, because Watson, we'll get into the movie in a little bit, chat. Watson is writing a memoir of the recounting the events that transpire in this film. So basically, he's essentially narrating, quote unquote, narrating this plot because he's writing a book or a story.
I mean, you could do a small embellishment in this story to give Sherlock a proper case for the third one. However, the activity of his foil in the third one was active only in 1888, and that was Jack the Ripper. Nobody ever solved that case. I mean, that would be something that could comparatively stand with the other two.
Yeah, but since it would like the third movie would have to take place after the events of this one, can't really go back to 1888. So
like I said, if they could
unless it's a copycat, unless it's a copycat.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't say copycat. I mean like someone committing the crimes again, but like making people believe that Jack the Ripper's returned, but has he sort of situation?
Or Mr. Hyde situation.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, but okay, so I am. Well, I don't even go so far as to say the 20th century. I don't think it'd be that much of a jump even though it'd be only 9 years. I'd say they probably keep it still within the 1890s, but given how old Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law look, they would have to jump to the 20th century. So yeah, I think Jude Law looks better than Robert Downey Jr., but they both aged.
Yes, Jude Law is, I don't know whether a bane or a boon for uteruses everywhere.
So I think like I say, Jude Law aged much like Robert Downey Jr., but I think Jude Law aged better, mainly because he didn't turn to veganism.
Well, yeah, he kept his body active, and well, Robert Downey Jr. I mean, it's like, dude, you went through drugs and whatnot, but now you're going to veganism, which is just as bad on your body as drugs, pretty much, because, well, you're not getting all the proteins needed from meat.
No. But anyway, like I said, and like we're not, again, chat, we're not going to go into depth of the details of this case. And because for those who have not seen it or do not remember it, I don't want to give anything overtly spoilerish away in terms of what Holmes is trying to figure out. But basically the gist of it is there are seemingly random like bombings and so forth happening around London and like other areas. Seemingly, when I say seemingly random, I mean like that's the belief amongst the populace. But to Holmes, he's looking at this going, maybe they're not random. Maybe they're not exactly random. So basically, that is the overall gist of this plot, right? And so I mentioned also that Watson is writing a memoir, so he's essentially narrating the events of that's going to transpire in this film. He's like recounting these events. I don't think we need to necessarily go too in depth in talking about, again, Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. as Holmes and Watson, but what do you think? What did you think of their dynamic again in this film?
It was a bit more evolved because this is literally what Holmes always feared was happening, as we discussed in the first one. Watson has fully moved on. He is ready to move on. Unfortunately, Holmes isn't.
Yeah.
But also, Moriarty, without saying too much, he isn't willing to let Watson move on either, because they have that meeting and it's like, no, I am not going to let Watson off let Watson off. He is also, and then he basically goes over collateral damage theory.
Because Holmes at one point in the movie, and this is not exactly spoiling anything, but one point in the movie asks Moriarty to let Watson alone.
Yeah. He's like,
to which Moriarty flat out refuses.
Only because Holmes was basically insulting him right to his face at the time.
Yes. So I skipped over the first part and like a little bit of a spoiler, because we were introduced to Moriarty at the beginning of this film, which is one thing I'm happy about, is that they did not give Holmes another love interest in this movie, because Irene Adler unfortunately meets a tragic end near the beginning of this movie, because Moriarty does not like loose ends. And he also sees her as a weak point in his plans because of how much of a hold Holmes has on her emotions.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, spoiler alert, Irene Adler meets a tragic end. Yeah, she's somehow administered how do I put this? A concoction where she dies of TB, tuberculosis.
Yeah. At that point in time, it was a rare strain of tuberculosis.
Yeah. So what I appreciated also about that scene is how it demonstrated the almost a level of control and power Moriarty had when he all he had to do was indicate the sound and things like that and the restaurant just clears.
Yeah.
And
It's
all
like,
that's
what
left
did?
is Moriarty, his right-hand man, and Irene.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, tell me, did you think that coming here to your favorite restaurant, to a public place, would keep you safe?
Yes.
And then he just signals Sebastian Moran. I loved the Sebastian Moran Moriarty thing because it is a perfect mirror to Holmes and Watson.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we'll have to
like
get to that later. But
yeah, we'll get to that later when we talk about Moriarty and Moran, because we're first, at least in terms
I
of new
love that
characters,
scene.
introduced.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get a shot of Mycroft.
Mycroft. I love this scene that you're on right now because
Yeah, that's my favorite scene.
He's so high right now. Because
Okay,
I love it. He's like, why are you here?
Okay. So
Shit.
here, Mycroft, played by Stephen Fry. And he's not really a big player in this plot, but he is crucial for like certain moments.
Yeah.
And I think one of my favorite scenes with him is more or less John Watson and Mary get married in this movie. All right, so it's like she's Mary Watson. All right, at this point when she's like, so I had to stop myself and like figure out the fucking grammar of that sentence.
Oh my god.
And they have Mary staying at Mycroft's home to protect her because Moriarty's going after both Watson and his wife. And I love like two reactions I love from her. Like one, oh, there are two of you. Or there's more of you, because he's like introduces her. I'm the other Holmes.
I'm the other Holmes. There's two of you. Oh, that's just wonderful.
Wonderful.
Can this day get any better?
Yes. And then like he actually walks around his abode naked.
Yeah, his palatial estate.
Yeah, and he must do that so often that like it doesn't even register on both, like, his I guess assistants.
No.
And manservants, basically. Like they like just don't react at all.
Well, here's the thing. Mycroft is a misanthrope, first off.
Yeah.
He doesn't like humanity. He doesn't like people. I mean, we get it in the scene where Holmes, or in this scene that is shown, where Watson goes to shake his hand. No, he doesn't.
Yes. No.
But yeah, the thing with his estate.
Hey, Wiley and Hound.
In this time period, folks, they didn't care what your preferences were. They didn't care if you were insulted. You're in their house. Their normalcies, you're going to have to get used to if you're going to stay in their house. That was the proper thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so when she reacts to him nude, he doesn't flinch at all, because it's like, she's going to have to get used to it. Yeah. This is my normal. So she'll have to.
Yeah. But I just loved her reaction to it, because he's walking around because that's his normal. Like he doesn't care.
Yep. And I love that, because it's like, oh my God, where are you going, Stanley? Stanley's he's calling Stanley to bring back, but then Stanley's going the other way, and then he's like, where are you going, Stanley?
I was like,
oh my God. Stanley's like the family's butler that's been around since freaking Sherlock and Mycroft's parents were around.
Most likely, because he when Sherlock Holmes is like, when they're at Mycroft's estate at one point, like he's even talking to Stanley, and Stanley's not even like acknowledging him, like, just like Stanley's in his own little world, his own
Stanley's
little
deaf.
So
most likely deaf.
Most likely, but at the same time, it's like
Stanley.
Like,
my God, you haven't aged a day.
Yes.
Is that like chutney? So it is. Oh my God. The Holmes family is just so freaking hilarious in this one. They really are, because they complement each other. They play off each other. And what a lot of people don't realize, Mycroft is a genius in his own right. He just chooses to use it for more than just simply detective work, he uses it on a grander level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's, or in a way, sort of a lighter, less smart version of Moriarty, who uses it on a, or uses his intellect on a grand level as well.
Mm-hmm. So, and like you said, like, you know, this whole scene,
Yeah.
the bachelor party scene, because Holmes forgot to invite anyone.
Yep. I called, they declined. No, you didn't call anybody.
Like, you know, my rugby team.
Yeah.
They couldn't make it.
I don't know a damn
The chap from my
person
medical
here.
school.
Yeah.
Nope. Like,
And then Mycroft. He's all me, isn't he? It's
yes.
like, this is a stag party, dude.
But then, like, Watson goes and, you know, I'm just gonna go over there where the gambling is, basically. So he goes over to where the gambling is, and this is like, I'm jumping ahead of this, but this is my favorite part of the whole scene, is because Holmes is chasing. Oh my god, a would-be assassin, a Cossack.
A Cossack, yep.
Who's going after Simza, basically played by Numi Rapace's, and. But they both fall onto the table after Watson has just won a big pot of money, and everyone, like, there's like just like a moment of silence after Holmes and the Cossack leave, and they're all staring at this money on the ground, and Watson's like, "No," and they all die.
He's like, "Now wait a minute."
No, wait a minute, and they all die.
And they all go. And I just love it. He's like, "What? Where is he? Where's you? He is drunk as fuck." I mean, the whole lead up to the marriage, and also Holmes has a car or an automobile, his motor carriage, as they call it, and I love that too. It's like, it's so overt, it's covert, because he's under surveillance, and he has to. And Watson and Holmes are basically discussing the merits of marriage. He's like, marriage.
Yes,
it's the end. I tell you, I like to think of it as a beginning. Armageddon, rebirth. Restriction, structure, answering to a woman, being in a relationship.
Yes.
I mean, it just shows that Watson is able to play on Holmes's level now. I mean, yes, he's not all the way there, but he is able to play it in such a.
He's able to hold his own. Yeah. He's able to hold his own, and it's still, and was at the same time still keep Holmes in check. Basically, like, you know, kind of reel Holmes back in when Holmes is being a bit too eccentric in what he's about to do.
Oh, considering what he did or at his house, he's like, "You're drinking embalming fluid."
Yes.
Yes. Care for a drop.
So he kind of. So he's the he's the parent in this relationship. He's the and Holmes is the child.
And I love how Mrs. Hudson is brought back in. And she's like, "Doctor, you need to get him to a sanatorium."
Yes. Would you say Moriarty is the Joker to Holmes as Batman?
No.
While the Joker is the most well known of Batman's nemesis, whatever, you know, villains.
Nemesis.
Yes, I will. I can't speak tonight because I'm so tired. I equate Moriarty to Bane, because Bane is on the intellectual level of Bruce Wayne, Batman. Like Bane, he's not just like a, like, you know, like just strong, like muscle. Like, you know, he is actually incredibly intelligent.
Intellectually, sure. Ra's al Ghul is another good one because of his influence worldwide.
Yeah. So I would say a combination of Bane and Ra's al Ghul is Moriarty, basically, to Batman.
Just without the
the combination of those two villains, that's Moriarty to Holmes, basically, to Batman. So yeah, it's like Bane is like, his intelligence is often overlooked because they've never portrayed him accurately in the movies, or well in the movies, and he is actually incredibly intelligent. And he's the only one to ever break Batman.
Dark Knight Rises, they give him intelligence, however, he's not portrayed accurately in his ethnicity.
But
he is extremely intelligent in the.
Well, he's intelligent, but they made I don't. Well, essentially made him a fucking simp to Talia al Ghul, pretty much, which I did not like. But they also, I don't know if it was Tom Hardy's
decision.
No, I'm saying like, like with the mask on, it was hard for me to understand and like most of anything that Tom Hardy was saying. So I don't know if that was Tom Hardy himself or the mask. I could not understand him when I saw it in theaters. I was like, is he fucking saying words or he's just grunting behind that thing?
Have you seen it? Have you seen it after theaters? So you could do an audio comparison. Could have been an audio issue at your home or at the theater.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, it's like, this is what I heard. That's what I heard, basically. So I'm like, is he grunting or saying words? I couldn't understand what he was saying. But in terms of like how Bane was portrayed in like Batman and Robin, yes, it was better because he was actually intelligent. But at the same time, it's like people often overlook Bane because they say, oh, big muscles, he must be like a dumb, like, big dumb villain. No, he's actually incredibly smart.
Yeah. So because Batman and Robin, the movie, played him as this just a muscle-bound thug, kind of like in Dark Knight Rises, but without the intelligence.
Yeah.
In the in the animated series, he's actually he's smart in his own right, but they don't really ever truly touch on his intelligence. The man is smart, but it's like, dude, this guy's genius level. That's the kind of Bane is genius level, where Batman is also genius level. But getting back
boss
to
hog, fucking hello, boss hog, fucking hello, boo. Yeah. I should be on camera. We're gonna do this. We'll remind you, chat at the end of the stream. We'll be doing the singles on Friday. I still might go live tomorrow for like some shits and giggles and Black Ops 6 multiplayer. Seeing if I can survive the tryptophan. While
the
trying
tryptophan high, yeah.
A tryptophan high, if I can survive that. But the singles will be Friday, and we're talking Final Fantasy Spirits Within. So,
I just recently watched it, and it's like, damn, I forgot how good how interesting this movie was. Good, yes, too, but yeah. But getting back to this, it's like, I really like the Mycroft scenes as well as this scene coming up to the wedding itself, especially when they arrive to the wedding. Holmes is like, best man duties, gotta do it. He clacks up the freaking pipers, and he's like, and they start. I love the look on Watson. He's like, oh no.
Yes.
He's like, I'm going to kill you, Holmes.
Yes. Because Watson, I think, has a black eye from the fight.
From the fight, he's hung over. His military coat is ripped, so he tears off the sleeve. So he's like, but when they get into the church, you see that somebody gave him a spare coat. The wedding was beautiful and whatnot, and it's like, but I do love that nod that Holmes gives him. He's like, this is it, man.
Yeah.
So let's go.
So, and we are going to get to Moriarty in a minute, chats, but this is Numi Rapace, basically. So basically, it's like
Simza.
She's part of the reason why. And it kind of goes back to the beginning of the movie, which I did not mention, that Holmes took a letter from Adler, because Holmes is kind of trailing Irene at the beginning of this movie and things like that, and he takes a letter from her, which is addressed to this woman, and he's thinking it's something important. Yeah, she was in Prometheus. I think she was also in the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, like the foreign language film version, not the American, not the Western remake. But like in terms of like, popularity within the Western films, she was probably more known for Prometheus.
Yes.
So
this came before Prometheus, though.
Yes. Yeah. So like basically Holmes being Holmes kind of kills two birds with one stone. Basically, let's have this stag party here, while at the same time I can try to figure out why Irene Adler was carrying around a letter addressed to this woman.
Yeah.
All right. And also Irene had basically let drop to Holmes her employer's name. So now Holmes is like, why is he concerned with this woman?
Mm-hmm. And I absolutely love how this whole thing plays out because he's trying to get the answers. She knows some of them, but doesn't want to play the game or doesn't want to play around. And also, the thing about gypsies, they love their secrets.
Yes.
Um,
And
go ahead.
one thing, okay, am I saying there are no decent people amongst the Roma? No. However, the general mentality within the gypsy population is, and I've mentioned this before, is that what's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. What's yours is mine as well. That's their mentality, basically. So
Manipulation and what's the
well,
other word? I was
just
looking
straight up
for?
stealing from people
Yeah.
because like they believe it's not necessarily a mandate from God, but almost permission from God, solely, fucking solely because their ancestor, male or female, whatever it was, just because God did not smite the ancestor when that ancestor stole the nails that were impaled into Jesus Christ on the cross during the crucifixion, just because God did not smite the ancestor right there, took it as a sign that God was giving them the permission to just steal, just take what they wanted, basically.
Yeah.
So that basically that is their belief, generations down to now. So when I say that about gypsies, I'm like not exactly being discriminatory. I'm saying that is their literal belief.
They
So
believe
what
that they're protected from sin, or their belief they're protected from accountability.
Yeah. So what's mine is mine. What's yours is mine as well. That is what, to the point where it's like they allowed some gypsy refugees in this town near where my one brother and sister went to college, and people like were over against it, but this one landlord that my siblings did not fucking like at all because he was an asshole was all for, because hey, they were gonna live in like on his property. He figured he was gonna get a lot of rent from them. Well, guess fucking what? They left it like literally destroyed, and like didn't pay a fucking cent. He was he,
That poor man.
was hurt financially. He was hurt financially. People were like, "We told you, fucking so."
I mean, some gypsies don't hold to that way of treating people. A good number of them, however, will rob you fucking blind. Kind of like what they do to Holmes and Watson in this movie as they're walking towards to find her, and it's like, I have her bag. You had her bag.
Yeah.
Oh, nice scarf. I like. And
yeah.
I love Watson's reaction to that. It's like, you son of.
Yeah. So, hey, Abomination. So, actually, I think this one woman had to put a lock on, like somehow, like lock up in a way the enclosure to the trampoline she had for her children, because the gypsy children like would just walk into her yard and use her stuff. They had no boundaries whatsoever.
Yeah. We actually did have a couple of gypsies up in my hometown back when I was younger. They were ran out of town real fucking quick because it's like, we're not tolerating that here. You do that, you're done. We kick your ass out. And the problem was in our area at the time, we had a small roll through with the mob. Because the mob was looking for somebody, and the second the gypsies realized that the mob was rolling through, it's like, nope, we're gone. Because they thought the mob was actually staying, but no, they were just there looking for somebody who had beat feet. And it turns out that the property that guy abandoned is cursed. Many people have bought it. Nobody has kept it.
Yeah. So, but there it is. So basically, like these, like again, like Holmes thinks she's important, and even even though she might not realize why.
Yeah.
Like there's something that either, because what like a little bit of a spoiler, Moriarty's looking is like his dealings with her brother.
Yeah.
All right, and he's worried that her brother has written some information in this, like, letters to his sister that might reveal what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So she's being targeted as a result of that. So a little bit of a spoiler. That's why she's being targeted, and she doesn't even really know why. Because like Holmes is like, well, like maybe like you do know something, but it's just like it's so innocuous that you might not realize how important it is for our situation. But anyway, so she has to be kind of protected from Moriarty's goons who are targeting her, like the Cossack assassin.
Yeah.
Do love I love about this scene is that he, again, like with the first movie, he plays through his head how he's going to deal with the Cossack, and it starts out that way. And she just throws a knife at the assassin.
Yeah, that was actually something that was planned by the production. It's like, you've seen home vision from the first one. Now this is Holmes' vision on steroids, but also Holmes is going to be dealing with something that is outside of what he was planning.
Yes.
Or something that he wasn't accounting for. Like in this case, her being armed.
Yes.
And then later on, in the climax, we see that, Moriarty is also big. We get Holmes vision versus Moriarty vision.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which was great.
That was that one I don't want to go into because that's near the end, so don't want to give any major spoilers away.
We won't go any further than that.
So basically, but of like the main characters, other main characters in this movie, basically it's Moriarty and his henchman Moran. Right. So let's while I do have Moriarty, let's talk about Moran first, because Moran is his right-hand man. And Moran is also someone that Watson is aware of.
Yep, he's dishonorable discharge from the royal military, and one of the best, or he was also the best marksman in the royal military. And this guy is quite a skilled killer, an assassin, as well as a sniper.
So while he's aligned himself with Moriarty, I would equate him to, up to that point, a gun for hire. He's a mercenary, very mercenary in his dealings, basically. And right now he's aligned himself with Moriarty because, well, he's gonna align himself with the side he believes is gonna benefit him the most.
Yeah.
Right now that's Moriarty.
And I love the actor who plays him. I haven't seen him in much else. But this guy who plays him is actually very well done with Sebastian Moran. Because Sebastian Moran he's a henchman. He is the stereotypical henchman, but he's also one that is smart in himself. He's not as brilliant as Moriarty, but the man is useful. He's not one that Moriarty would just cast off.
No, and Moriarty's very much the no loose ends type of villain. And by no loose ends, it means
once you're not useful, you're dead.
Yes, pretty much. While you're not useful, once you're not useful, or once he deems you as a weak link, you're dead,
or a danger to his plans.
Yes, something like that, basically. So any one of those three negative connotations and loose ends, you're dead.
Moriarty looks at things like this: you're either useful to me or you're a threat to me.
Yeah.
Or no, there's
maybe
three
this should have been
useful,
I think like this should have been
threat.
I think this plot should have been built up through a second movie into a third movie. Because this is. As much as I enjoyed this plot, if they had actually planned out for 3 movies, I would have saved this plot for the third movie and built up to it through the second one. So,
I mean, I really think that, because essentially, think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but without the freaks. And Well, it's kind of funny that I actually mentioned that, but never mind on that. But
Mhm.
Jared Harris, he's not just a TV actor. This dude has his uses in film as well. I mean,
Mhm.
he was actually in the Morbius movie, and as much as that movie was not good, he does a wonderful job in whatever movie he does.
He's a very good actor. He's also the
Oh
son
yeah,
of Richard Harris. So,
OG Dumbledore. Yep,
yeah, so
as well as in the movie Orca, which was also a good movie.
also Marcus Aurelius in
Yep,
Gladiator.
yep, him too. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and yeah, so I like, it's like I can kind of see the similarities, but he's the son of Richard Harris, and so I can see where when you're the son of a venerable actor as is Richard Harris, I could see he definitely got some of that from his father, his acting chops. So, but as Moriarty, what do you think of it as Holmes's arch nemesis?
Well, I think that Guy Ritchie and the people who were the casting directors and whatnot, I think they did a wonderful job with Jared Harris, because it's like, we're not trying to cast somebody to play Moriarty. We are looking for Moriarty, and Jared Harris is very much gives off Moriarty vibes. This isn't a guy who's playing Moriarty; he is Moriarty.
Yeah,
And I absolutely agree, because Jared Harris can play great characters that are both good, bad, complex,
yeah,
and sometimes simple as well. I mean, there's a movie that a lot of people write off as a complete idiot movie called Lady in the Water. It's one of M. Night Shyamalan's. And he is a very small character in the movie, but it's like he
wait, hold
just
on.
sticks out a little bit. Yeah, I know, it's
What
in my
character did he
background.
play? What character did he play?
He played one of the smokers. He's like, oh, we
Okay.
talk about some very important issues on occasion.
Okay, I'd have to go back and rewatch that movie because I'm like, I think while it wasn't one of M. Night Shyamalan's best during that time, I did enjoy it for the most part, like what it was trying to do, basically.
Yeah. Well, it was a bedtime story that he told his kid, and he turned it into a movie.
Yeah, I think like some things just fell flat in it, but
Yeah.
overall, I appreciated what he was trying to do in terms of bringing that story to the big
Yeah.
screen, basically. So
I liked it. I especially liked the music to it. The music
Mhm.
was something that really stood out.
Yeah.
But as to Jared Harris in this movie, yes, this man is. I mean, he's a brilliant genius intellect, and yet if he is inconvenienced or thwarted or anything, you see that shift. You see how he goes from so calm and so sure of himself, so god damn it, what's the word? Uh well, sure of himself, in lack of the word that I'm trying to think of. But the second he realizes, oh shit, something's wrong, you can see it in his eyes. Murder is there.
Mhm.
This
Oh
man
yeah.
has no qualms about doing something to keep somebody out of his way, or to get somebody out of his way.
I mean, you
And
literally
it,
see it, like I said, at the beginning of the movie where he
yeah.
dispatches Irene Adler because like she's no more used to him, and he sees her as a
Mhm.
weakness.
And it's also in his voice too. I mean, he speaks so softly, but also the way that his voice, the cadence in it, it's like, this isn't the first time that he's inconvenienced me in recent months. The way
Yeah.
that he lengthens months, almost as slithery, serpent-like almost. And it's like, this man is extremely dangerous. You just get that air off of him. And Jared Harris played it perfectly.
hmm So, I think one of my favorite parts between him and Holmes, and like again, we're not going to talk about the end. Like this,
Mhm.
like the other stream will end up being one of the shorter streams as a result because we're not going to go into entirely the details
Yes.
of what's happening. It's when they're playing chess.
Yes.
It's
I mean,
because basically this whole movie is a chess game between the two.
yes,
It's
and
very
that's
much
the
a chess
wonder.
game between the two.
There was a lot of chess played in this movie, but also behind the scenes, all the actors and people behind the cameras are chess players. They brought in a
Mm.
chess consultant specifically for this game or for this movie,
Yeah.
and he picked a specific one that was based on a queen sacrifice, but we're not really going to get into the details of why.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love how he's like, now are you sure? Or the wonderful thing about this scene is Holmes is trying to negotiate keeping Watson out of it, but he's also not afraid to show himself up a little to Moriarty. But Moriarty is like, I basically expected you to try to do this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you I'm not afraid of you. And I'm also going to show you that well, I can take things from you.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And that's exactly what he did with
which
Irene.
we're not. Well, yeah, which Holmes finds out later, like because Moriarty doesn't reveal it here. I don't believe. I saw them.
Oh
I
yeah,
watched the movie a
it's in
couple
the
days.
scene. It's in
It's
the
okay
scene.
because he sees the handkerchief. This scene,
Yeah.
Holmes sees a handkerchief basically.
And then he tells him, "Are you sure you want to play this game?"
Yes, because this is. I love the train scene.
Yes. I mean, I love these scenes. These are great scenes because they also provide no major context to the story that we are trying to not tell too much of.
Yes. But so basically, the scene that we were just on, where I had paused on Moriarty, leads into this scene because Watson and Mary are going on their honeymoon to Brighton. I guess Brighton, beautiful of all places, but anyway, they're going on their honeymoon to Brighton.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's like.
And Holmes,
Really?
well, he's like not one of my best disguises, but I had to make do basically. So he's like basically dressed in drag to get onto this train to protect Watson. And Watson initially thinks like they're after Holmes, and like Holmes is like, no, they're after you.
Yeah. He's like, they're not here for me. They're here for you. Because he's like, why'd you lead him here? Why did you involve us? It's like, I didn't. I honestly
to Holmes'
didn't.
credit, he actually tried to keep them out of it.
He's like definitive. He's no longer party to my investigation.
Yes.
And he tried to negotiate that.
No, he's still going to be party to your investigation. I'm going to make sure of that, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's because Holmes is like, or as this thing said in the thing, he's like, have you ever studied graphology, the study or psychological study of handwriting? And he then just basically straight up admits or insults Moriarty, and Moriarty's like, nope.
Yeah.
In answer of your previous request, I will not be considering Dr. Watts or leaving Dr. Watson out of it.
Yeah.
No, you both fucked with me, so I'm gonna fuck with you back.
Pretty much. Again, like the back and forth chess we see playing throughout this movie. Hey, Sonic Jaded, 5D chess moves, dudes. Yes.
Oh yeah.
To the point where to protect Mary, and like Holmes has basically planned all this. Like, not when I say planned all this out, I mean like he's finagled it so certain things happen. Basically, like he's made sure that he's covered all his bases essentially, to the point where he has his brother Mycroft and Mycroft's I guess assistant, whatever his name, like I don't know exactly what guy. Carruthers, yeah. Like I don't exactly know like what Carruthers' specific position is.
Gentleman. He's assistant essentially.
Okay, so assistant is the right word. I was using that, but I was like, is that really the right word? But anyway, to the point where like both of them are in a rowboat at this precise spot where Holmes has pushed Mary out of the train as they were going over a bridge.
I love that. It's like, do you trust me? No. Well, we're gonna have to work on that.
It's just like
he just chucks her. It's like, oh shit!
And Watson's reaction is like, "Did you just kill me?
Did you just kill my new wife?
Why?
Of course not."
It's like I timed it perfectly. It's like
I said, I timed it perfectly.
Watson's wanting him to explain. It's like if I explained, we'd both be dead. Like he's trying to calm Watson down while they're getting shot at.
Well, yeah, because he's like, by the time I've explained, we'll both be dead. And that's exactly when the freaking soldiers come through the door. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But
and they had to make their way
Watson
to like
covered that. Yeah.
the like next cabin, and they're like, second class is like much they find much more comfortable.
Second class or third class is much more comfortable. To the south, quick march.
I love when he says to the south, quick march, because they're like, this is an elderly couple and they don't know what to do, and he's like, to the south, quick march.
Yeah, and I love how he comes in. He's like, good evening. I'm barely naked, smudged. Did you notice that his smudged makeup, blue eyes, lipstick out in a sort of like a Glasgow smile, gave off Joker vibes?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, lie down with me, and they like both lie, like he and Watson lie down on the floor because he's seen, because like he said, he's basically, as like Watson and Mary are boarding the train, because we like flash back to Holmes, when Holmes comes onto the train, that he's seen what's going on, or like what like potentially is going to be happening, so he fixes things. And he knows that like at this point they're going to be firing this nice little Gatling gun at them.
Yeah.
Through a fucking train.
Yeah.
It's like lie with me, Watson.
Lie down with me, Watson.
Yeah, it's like what are we doing? We are waiting. I am smoking. It's like his pipe, Page Luke. So again, like I love the interactions between Watson and Holmes in this.
Make it count.
And well, technically, Watson did make it count.
I mean, don't ever look out or down the barrel of somebody while holding the pin of a grenade.
Nope. And so, he not only took care of it, it literally separated the train. For the point where the explosion happened, separated the train.
Keeping innocents safe, mind you.
Yes.
But I love that. So where we are, then they just start arguing. He's like, and then he's like, where are we going? Paris, the most sensible honeymoon spot. He just couldn't stop. He just couldn't help himself.
Nope. Still could not help himself. Yeah. So basically, we won't exactly touch on everything, but this is where the journey literally begins, because not only do they have to find this Roma chick again, Simza, her name is Simza, but they have to find out why her brother factors into everything that Moriarty's doing, because it's not a spoiler that Moriarty is the brains behind the crime. He is it's much like the first one where Lord Blackwood is the main villain. It's just how is everything happening? Or in this case, it's why is everything happening with seemingly random attacks? Are they random or are they purposeful? Sort of situation, and Holmes has to figure out what essentially the Simza's brother's connection is, and what Moriarty's ultimate goal is. Mm-hmm. I'm saying it's not a spoiler because Moriarty is in the trailers. So if I remember correctly, he's in the trailers. So we know it's like the first one. We know who the bad guy is. It's not like that's the mystery. Basically, the real mystery is, in the first one, it's how. How is this all happening? Because it's very much science versus supernatural. In this one, it's the why. Why is he doing this? What ultimate goal does Moriarty have in these seemingly random attacks on locations, on individuals? Why? Are they connected? Are they all connected? Are most of them connected? Basically, it's the why. It's really the mystery in the second one, which is what I appreciate as a difference from the first one in terms of tone, in terms of that theme, that tone. Because again, it could have been easily a copy and paste, overarching plot thread from the first movie, but they change it up where it's we know the how that's happening.
Yeah.
We don't know the why. And like in the first one, we know the why, because Blackwood pretty much wants to take over the new world, the colony, like recolonize America. He wants to basically rule with fear. It's just how is he managing to do this? All of this,
Yeah.
it's the reverse. So I think in terms of character, like there's minor characters peppered throughout this movie. So we covered basically the big ones, and that is Holmes, Watson, Moriarty, Moran, Simsa, because her brother factors into this, Mycroft, and so forth. One more scene. Hold on, is it this one? Yeah, it's this scene where
oh yeah.
I wish I could play this. I wish I could play this because Watson is trying to it's
gauging Moran.
Yeah, well, like Holmes is engaging Moran,
No.
Holmes is with Moriarty, and Moran is keeping Watson at bay here, like keeping Watson from getting to Holmes. And the reason why I wish I could play this is how Watson, how he deals with Moran.
Yeah, I love that. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
Oh shit! It's like, what are you playing at? That's not fair.
And then you see,
oh shit. Yeah.
Again, it goes back to what I said about in the Watson from the first Ring, which that I love how they show that Watson can handle himself. It's well, I do like the Basil Rathbone portrayals of Sherlock Holmes in those movies. Watson's basically don't want to say befuddled, but he's he didn't quite feel like the Watson character, other than because Watson he's intelligent. He can figure things out. He's just not on the intellectual level of Holmes. Whereas the Basil Rathbone ones, where he's kind of like an affable, almost buffoonish at times. Really, as much as I enjoy those movies, I feel like I'm panning them basically. But in terms of the portrayal of Watson, this one is better because it feels more like Watson.
Yeah, because Watson, again, he's a veteran. He's a war veteran.
It was covered. It was covered. So to Moran's defense of not knowing, he did not see it until it kind of popped out from where it was.
It's like, what are you?
So I don't think he knew what was in there.
Yeah.
Until he saw, and well, that's not fair.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit. But this scene is also very poignant because, well, one, the shift that we're not really talking about, but two, it also shows the ruthlessness of Moriarty.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how, or it gives you a true, shall we say, it shows that he's not, or he is willing to dirty his finger or dirty his hands when he knows he can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the great parts in this.
So I think we're so close. Well, not close to the end, but we're getting to a point where Holmes is starting to piece together certain things. So I don't exactly want to go into too much detail moving forward because
the train is my most favorite spot or part.
Yeah,
because they had to cross country lines, and we discussed a little bit of it in the last one. But he won't ride a horse. So he rides a pony, and he was like, how'd you put it, Holmes? They're dangerous on both ends and crafty in the middle. But the pony comes in handy because, well, Holmes is injured, and he wakes up, and I love that he's like, terrible dream. You, Marion Gladstone, and I were in a restaurant. That satanic pony was there as well. Oh, massive fork in his hoof, and he turned on me. It's like, I just love that entire scene.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on how much Moriarty is confided in him, basically. Because while he's Moriarty's right-hand man, that does not necessarily mean Moriarty has confided everything to him. Now, I'm not trying to write the plot for this movie or anything like that. I'm just saying there is some plausibility as to Moran not knowing.
Yeah, I mean,
everything.
Well, one, it's covered. Two, I doubt Moran took a tour of the entire area.
So I'm just saying there's some plausibility and explanation as to why he doesn't know it's there. But happy early Thanksgiving as well, Gigawatt. And sucks that you have to work tomorrow, but hopefully it's doesn't suck too much.
I used to work at Denny's, and Denny's was always open on Thanksgiving. So yeah, I know what it's like too, buddy.
Yeah.
I can sympathize.
Yeah. So, is there like another scene that you want to talk about? Because, like I said, I don't want to go too much further since now it's going like really into the revelation starting to happen as like what's going on.
A scene before this in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
the opera house. It was actually not too important, but important to the dynamic between Holmes and Moriarty, because Moriarty, as we all know, he's actually smarter than Holmes. This is something that is undeniable. He's right there, the Imperator,
Yeah.
at the opera, because Moriarty is watching Don Giovanni.
Yeah.
At the opera house, and Holmes saw clues, which we all see in the Holmes vision stuff. He is able to deduce things, and he realized, oh my God, to the opera. We think that there might be a MacGuffin there, so to speak. And it shows this scene. It shows just how ahead of the game Moriarty is, because he even set up a trap exactly where, or not so much a trap, but a mocking gesture exactly where Holmes would show up. It's like, you followed the path that I wanted you to follow, so I could get away with doing what I had to do next. And I love that, because the second he slides that thing out, he uses his opera glasses, and he's like, exactly as I planned. And you see Holmes in this scene. He's pissed off. He's like, I was mistaken. What do you mean? I made a mistake. And then he just throws the chess piece that was there for him.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is Holmes making a massive mistake. And then he finally realizes, oh shit, now I know where the true path is, but unfortunately too late.
Yes. So, for those who are just tuning in, we're trying not to go into too many details.
Yeah.
Of what basically the events, the case that transpires, because it might give too much away. But and Holmes he's not beside himself, but you could tell that he's incredibly upset, because he rarely, if ever, makes mistakes. Yeah. At one point, during a scene where he's asked by Simza what he sees, he's like, everything. That's my curse. That is my curse. I see everything.
And they showed that brilliantly in the first movie, when he's waiting for Holmes Watson and Mary at the restaurant, because he sees he sees the pickpocket, he sees the people doing that or this and that, and so he had to close his eyes for a moment, because it's like, this is all just overly stimulating.
Yes. So, and you see it also in the scene where he's telling her that, but we already know that about his character. But she's asking him, what do you see? And he's like, everything that's happening in this room, like the room they're in, even though they're moving, because Holmes and Simza are also moving. He's like, he still sees everything that's going on.
And it is essentially a curse, because when you have an intellect like that, folks, when you have such a keen analytical eye, and you also have a sense of moral justice, of right and wrong, that is as strong as Holmes, even though some things he is morally questionable about, like his drug usage and craziness with antics and whatnot. But when it comes to absolute right and wrongs, and you have that kind of analytical eye, seeing the tiniest details in even things around you that's not focused on what you or your main mission is, will needle you. That those small things, it's like, this person is doing something wrong, but I need to stay focused. Otherwise, I could fuck up everything that is truly important.
Yeah, and the scene itself,
evils,
and the scene itself that I'm talking to is incredibly crucial.
Yes.
like the reason they're there. But I'm not going to go into that detail because,
No.
well, if you have not seen the movie, watch for yourself.
And it has a good dance between two gentlemen dancing.
I I got a kick out of because what's I
Yeah.
thought you'd never ask.
Yeah, right. And that part was crucial as well, but we're not getting into it. But I absolutely love how that scene played out because he's like, you know my methods, you know what to do.
Yes.
And it really does pay off in the end.
Yeah. So, but that is where we're going to essentially, unless Orange you have anything else to add about the movie, that's essentially where we're going to call it because I don't want to risk giving too much away about like what's transpiring.
Scoring the film because we
scoring the film, but like in terms of like anything that might not give the film away, anything else you might want to add. Like I said, I don't want to go too much further since now we're getting into the revelation.
Yeah.
Sort
of. Nothing that I can really think of aside from the hilarity of earlier scenes, but other than that, it's not really important.
So for scoring, like which one, I guess then do you prefer, this one or the first one?
I like
in terms of like better.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I like this one a little bit better than the first because this one is of a wider scope. Mm-hmm. It is a true challenge for Holmes. We see he makes mistakes in this, where in the first one he is rather in his element against somebody who is actually inferior to him, although does still give him a challenge, where in this one he is against a superior force, and so he has to find a way to defeat it. This one is truly, or honestly, I do think it is much better in how it is done. The Holmes vision, the slow motion scenes, some interesting sound usage, like when some of the German people are gearing their weapons up, they kind of go rather piggish, shall we say. The casting was great. That guy, or the male gypsy, I've seen him in a few movies. 10,000 BC was one of them. A few other ones too. But I really enjoyed this film because they kept the same formula. It's very much Guy Ritchie formula. But it was brought up to where I would say if Sherlock Holmes, the first one, is a 9 out of 10, this one is definitely subjectively a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Because it is dialed up just a little bit more.
So I can see where like some people have issues with the scope of this movie because there is quite a bit happening in like within the 2-hour time span, which is why, like I said earlier in the stream, that if they had actually planned out for 3 movies, as I think they should have initially, I would have built up to the plot in this movie through the second film, basically. So it would have spread it out a bit more than just trying to fit everything into a 2-hour film. However, I think to me, the performances, especially from Jared Harris as Moriarty, I think I don't say make up for it, but I can like live with it because the performances from the actors in this film, especially with the villain. Jared Harris is an incredible actor, and I think he brings a subtle evil to Moriarty. So it's like not as overt, but as like Lord Blackwood in the first one, but I think far more deadly.
Yes, very much so.
So I would probably put this like. See, the thing is, like, I don't know which one I would rate higher because, like I said, like the first one was supernatural versus science, and this one is like random versus purpose.
They have their merits that essentially equal each other.
Yeah, so
just
I'm like
in different ways.
Yeah, I enjoy both of them. Basically, I could like put like first one on and the second one on and just like watch straight through. Would have liked for there to have been a third one closer to when the second one came out. But, well, according to Jude Law, there's some, I guess, hope on the horizon for a third movie, even though I think it's, to me, it's a little too late for a third film.
This film does very much, now that we've had this conversation, it does very much feel like, actually in a way, feels like a third film, because they could have easily made another film or middle film between the two, in which Holmes was beginning his initial investigation, which I'm not going to get into.
Yeah,
but yeah, it should, or because there are many factors that were talked about in this film that were not explored due to the fact that time had passed.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, this, like, that's why I said, there should have been like a build up to this plot.
Yeah.
With the second movie in between the first and this one. I do very much appreciate Moriarty's intentions, but I feel like some things were introduced where it's like, well, we can't fully touch on them because we have to get to this part of the plot.
What story do you think they would be if they do a third one now? Or do you have any specific Sherlock Holmes stories that you think would be a good fit?
I'd have to really think about that.
Yeah. My favorite one.
The obvious one that most people know is Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yeah, that's actually.
But that's like one. Yeah, but that's it's a little too obvious.
It's mundane. It's very mundane compared to the ones that came before. So they would have to, as we said, they would have to up the ante.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Iron Man or a combination of Iron Man and the Avengers, because didn't the Avengers come out in 2012?
Avengers was 2012, yes.
Yeah, so it could have been filming of Avengers and like basically the MCU moving forward at that point could have been a conflicting schedule for Robert Downey Jr.
Because then came Iron Man 3, and then he was also getting ready for Civil War, and also Age of Ultron.
Yeah, so pretty much the MCU in general is keeping Robert Downey Jr. busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, that is Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows. Where you see a brief Lestrade briefly in the film, but it doesn't play as big a part as he did in the first one.
Yeah.
I still like Holmes' description of him, which we can't really get into because that reveals something about the plot.
Yeah.
But I do like what Holmes says about him when Holmes is talking to Moriarty. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, chat, thank you all for hanging out with us. It's like normally I would be on camera, as I said, but I spent a long day pre-Thanksgiving cleaning. But I should be on camera tomorrow if I don't have a tryptophan high, or if I have a tryptophan high, that'll make it even more fun. Playing some Black Ops 6 multiplayer and leveling up my Krieg C. But anyway, Orange Chat, let everybody know where they can find you and all that fun stuff before I go into my outro.
All right. Well, you can find me on my channel. I haven't really gotten any content out. I am sorry for that. I'm usually saving a lot of the stories that I do videos on for the weekly recap. For the weekly recap on Sundays with Kate and Ambassador, where we will also be discussing this week a scholastic movie or a movie that takes place in school, so to speak. The new theme for my theme streams next week or next month are movies that kind of flew under the radar, and beginning with a Gina Carano movie, Haywire, because that one did kind of fly under the radar. A lot of people didn't really notice it until a few years after it released.
Haywire,
yeah.
Yeah, I actually overall enjoyed that film. Yeah, and it was. It did really very much did fly under the radar because I saw a trailer for it like well after it came out, and I was like, "This came out."
Yeah, I know, right? There are several movies that were like that too. From Paris with Love was another one. but I
Yeah.
already discussed that one. I believe with you in singles,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But yep, those are the December ones. This Friday, after we're full of turkey and stuffing, we are going to be discussing Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. And we will all Friday. I will also reveal what the singles I got picked out because, well, next month is Christmas month and winter
Yes.
month, so I figure one with a winter and one with a well, actually, one with a or both are semi-Christmas movies. So yeah, and well, Mara will decide what the ones and twos will be.
Well, I think I've pretty much decided and just keep it relatively simple. Home Alone 1 and 2. That's Christmas.
Good choices. Good
Those are
choices.
Christmas movies.
Yep.
So Home Alone 1 and
Love
2
them. Love them.
for the ones and twos next month, and we'll make an announcement, chat, on for the week where Christmas is a Wednesday, which days we'll be having the streams. So we'll let you all know that the closer we get to those. But yeah, so the ones and twos will be Home Alone 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then
All
Orange
right.
Hat will announce the singles next month when we get into that, unless you want to announce them tonight.
Well, actually, yeah. Mouse Hunt with Nathan Lane and Christopher Walken and a few others, as well as Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, not Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. Was it the second one that was like Garbage Day? Or am I thinking about another movie? There's it's like you look up the clip where he's like just like goes postal. This guy goes postal in this neighborhood, and all he says is like "Garbage Day," and then he just like shoots this guy. It's like one of the most it's like dumbest scenes ever fucking filmed. But it's like how the guy said it. Second was Garbage Day. I knew it was like one of the two.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. Just look at that scene and you'll see why it's like it's a laugh out of people. Anyway. But it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to get a laugh. It's like
there are many movies out there that you're not supposed to get a laugh about, but holy shit, they sometimes make you laugh.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So it's not going to be those movies. No, it's not those. Yeah. So yeah, those are the ones and twos and the singles for next month. So like I said, I'm going to try to stream tomorrow. Just some shoot the shit with you guys. Turkey Day. And Friday will be the singles, and then Saturday will be the watch party on my Discord. We'll be watching the Survivor Series wrestling event beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern on my Discord.
Yeah.
So come, if you're part of my Discord, tune in for that. And then Sunday, Talk Nerdy to Us will be on my Nerdy Holmes channel. So I'm pretty sure she'll find a way to incorporate the movie Wicked into the discussion in that stream. But it'll be on her channel. So, Nate Chat, thank you all for hanging out with us. Have a good rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world, and we will see you all, well, literally next month. So, stay safe and peace.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.